Good morning, ma'am. I am Elena Barcelo from your Agri-Fishery 2 class in Saturday 7 to 10 a.m. So, I am filming this video for me to discuss my assigned topic, which is on what are the steps of IPM, or the steps of IPM, and how does IPM works. So first thing first is, let us first define what is IPM. So IPM is an integrated pest management. So when we say integrated pest management, it is all about the holistic approach to sustainable agriculture that focuses on managing insects, cultural weeds, and diseases through combination of cultural, physical, biological, and chemical methods that are cost effective, environmentally sound, and socially acceptable. So, what is IPM? IPM, as what I said earlier, IPM is an integrated pest management. It is an effective and environmentally sensitive approach to pest management that relies on a combination of common sense practices. IPM programs use current, comprehensive information on the life cycles of pests and their interaction with the environment. This information, in combination with available pest control methods, is used to manage pest damage by the most economical means. So, and with the least possible hazard to people, property, and the environment. So, when we say IPM, or Integrated Pest Management, it is one way, or it is an approach for us to help on how we will manage the pest, or we will manage the pest damage in agricultural or in an non-agricultural setting. And when we say agricultural setting, just like for example in the garden and in a farm, be agricultural setting, it is defined as the agricultural setting, just like for example, as what I said earlier, like for example farm and in the garden, which compose of plants and vegetables and fruits. When the plants, vegetable, or fruits getting attacked by the pest, so all we need to do is use the IPM method so that we can list the possible damage by the pest, and we can have an healthy environment and economically good health by the society. So when we cannot really manage the pest in our home, there was a possibility that it can lead to a possible hazard to people, property, and the environment, because we all know that pest is really dangerous when we get into it, and the pest will eat the the leaves of our plants. So when that plant are getting infected by the pest, so when time goes by, when the harvest time, so there's a tendency that we will gonna consume that, and it can damage our health. So the IPM approach can be applied to both agricultural and non-agricultural setting. As what I've said, agricultural setting, for example, in the farm area and the garden. When we say non-agricultural method, just like for example in our home, office, and or it's in school, there are such thing that possible thing that we cannot really observe that there were pests in our area. So in the next step of this report, we will know on how to identify the pest, and how we will manage it well. And then IPM takes advantage of all appropriate pest management options, including but not limited to the judicious use of pesticides. In contrast, An organic food production applies many of the same concepts as IPM, but limits the use of pesticides to those that are produced from the natural sources as opposed to synthetic chemicals. So, how do IPM programs work? IPM is not just a single pest control method. There are many pest control methods that been used by the IPM for us to manage and prevent the large population of pests and for us to be aware of. It is very important for us to know what is IPM really is for us to be an effective citizen in the society and to be a productive one in the future. So a series of pest management evaluations. There are many pest management evaluations and one of those is they to evaluate how many pests we will use in a month, how many pesticides we we must use and are we used in the same or in the expansion of time. So IPM or in practicing IPM, growers who are aware of the potential for pest infestation follow a four-tiered approach. The four steps included or the four-tier approach are: first, set action thresholds. Why? Before talking any pest control action, IPM first sets an action threshold, a point at which pest population or environmental conditions indicate that pest control action must be taken. Citing a single pest does not always mean control is needed. Yes, we cannot use any method or any pesticides when we can only cite one pest. We must set an action first before we do a before we do such thing on spraying pesticides on an area. So the level at which pests will either become an economic threat is critical to guide future pest control decisions. And the second method is the monitor and identify pests. Not all insects, weeds, and other living organisms require control. Many organisms are innocuous and some are even beneficial. Um, Not all pests are judicious or ano, to our farms. So IPM programs work to monitor pests and identify them accurately so that the appropriate control decisions can be made in the conjunction with action thresholds. This monitoring and identification removes the possibility that pesticides will be used when they are not really needed or that the wrong kind of pesticide will be used. So next is the prevention. The prevention. As a first line of pest control, IPM programs work to manage crop, lawn, or indoor space to prevent pests from becoming a threat. In an agricultural crop, this may mean using cultural methods such as rotating between different crops, selecting pest-resistant varieties, and planting pest rootstock. These control methods can be very effective and cost efficient and present little to no risk people or the environment. So IPM is very important so that there will be no risk between people and the animals because we are the consumer of what we planted, or we are the consumer of the living things or the plants, vegetables, and fruits that we were planted. So lastly is control. The last method is control. Once monitoring, identification, and action thresholds indicate that pest control is required and preventive methods are no longer effective or available, IPM programs then evaluate the proper control method both for effectiveness and risk. Effective, less risky pest controls are chosen first, including high targeted chemicals such as pheromones to disrupt pest mating or mechanical control such as trapping or weeding. This is one way of controlling pest dissemination in our area. We must have these methods, or we must know these methods, so that the pests will no longer available in our area and they will be damaged or they will be destroyed. If further monitoring, identifications and action thresholds indicate that less risky controls are not working, then additional pest control methods would be employed, such as targeted spraying of pesticides. Like just for example, when there were a spraying pesticides in the mango, that that is one example of spraying pesticides. Then broadcast spraying or non-specific pesticides is a last resort. IPM programs are successful for a simple reason. They recognize that pest management is a process, not a one-time event. So, I will repeat, the pest management is not just a one-time event. It needs a process to be done, or it needs a process to have a good outcome to our work, because not all things just be done in just one time. Pest management will be having a process so that we can go through on what outcome we may look up. By addressing the underlying causes of pest infestations, access to food, water, and shelter, IPM can prevent infestation before pesticides are even considered. In practice, IPM is an ongoing cycle of 7 critical steps, and these 7 critical steps are: inspection. First is inspection. The cornerstone of an effective IPM program is a schedule of regular inspections. For food processors, weekly inspections are common, and some plants inspect even more frequently. These routine inspections should focus on areas where pests are most likely to appear: receiving dock storage areas, employee break rooms, sites at recent ingredient spills, and etc., and identify any potential entry points, food and water sources, or harborage zones that might encourage pest problems. And the second one is the prevention of action, or prevention action. Prevention action is regular inspections reveal vulnerabilities in your pest management program. Take steps to address them before they cause a real problem. One of the most effective prevention measures is occlusion, performing structural maintenance to potential entry points revealed during inspection. And by physical keeping pests out, you can reduce the need for chemical countermeasures. Likewise, sanitation and housekeeping will eliminate potential food and water sources, thereby reducing pest measures. So, in this method, prevention is really a cure of everything. Before we are undergoing the use of pesticides or spraying pesticides, we must first prevent the dissemination of the pest. Just like for example, we will sanitize our area, we will sanitize every corner of our room, and then we will clean it everything so that there will be no pest. Prevention is the cure. And third is identification. Different pests have different behaviors. By identifying the problematic species, pests and can be eliminated more efficiently and with the least risk of harm to other organisms. So, professional pest management always starts with a correct identification of the pest in the question. So make sure your pest control provider undergoes rigorous training in pest identification and behavior. And the fourth one is the analysis. So once you have properly identified the pest, you need to figure out why the pest is in your facility. Why? Is there food debris or moisture accumulation that may attracting it? What about odors? So this is these are the one factor why pests are being in your area. How are the pests finding their way in? So why the pests go in there? How they go inside or how they get in there? So perhaps through the floors or walls? So they enter in the floors or in the walls? There's too many questions that we may analyze so that we can properly manage the pest damage in our area. Could incoming shipments then the answers to these questions will lead to the best choice of control techniques. So the fifth one is treatment selection. IPM stresses the use of non-chemical control methods. This is the best. Why IPM is the best of among all? Because IPM or integrated pest management use an organic pest control or control methods. This approach uses an organic control methods, just like for example weeding or putting some debris in the pest area, and then when other control methods have failed or are inappropriate for the situation, chemicals may be used in least volatile formations in targeted areas to treat the specific pest. In other words, the right treatments in the right places and only as much as you need to get the job done. It is very important. So often the right treatment will consist of a combination of responses. Then from chemical treatments for baiting to trapping, but by focusing on non-chemical options first, we must focus first on the non-chemical options because it is the best way of preventing pests, and it is the best way physically as a human, because we all know that pesticides can also damage our health and when we inhale it. So you can ensure that your pest management program is effectively eliminating pests, and then at last risk to your food safety program, non-target organisms and the environment. You'll also see higher pest control scores at audit time. And the step 6 is monitoring. Since pest management is an ongoing process, constantly monitoring for facility or pest activity and facility and operational changes can protect against infestation and help eliminate existing ones. Since your pest management professional most likely visits your facility on a weekly or weekly basis. So at what I have said, IPM approach is not, or integrated pest management is a process. So the professional will visit on your house twice a week or once a week. So employees should be cognizant or sanitation issues that affect the program and should report any signs of pest activity. So you don't want to lose a day when it comes to reacting to an actual pest presence. So the last one is documentation. Let's face it, the food safety auditor's visit can make or break your business. Since pest control can account for up to 20% of your total score, it's imperative that your IPM program is ready to showcase come audit time. So, up to date, pest control documentation is one of the first signs to an auditor that your facility takes pest control seriously. So it is very important to take a documentation or just take a photo when you are undergoing pest management process. Important documents include a scope of service, pest activity reports, and service reports, and corrective action reports, and trap layout maps, list of approved pesticides, and pesticide usage reports, and lastly, the applicator licenses. So, let us have a synopsis about what is my report really all about. So, IPM or Integrated Pest Management is an integrated pest management approach integrates preventive and corrective measures to keep pests from causing significant problems to our home or to an agricultural or non-agricultural setting. So, with the minimum risk or hazard to humans and desirable components of their environment. So, IPM programs have proven a track record of significantly reducing the risk unrelated to pesticides while providing quality health and welfare of the environment. So, there are some methods or there are some benefits of IPM. The benefits of IPM or integrated pest management are some of the benefits of integrated approach of pest management are promotes sound structure and healthy plants, promotes sustainable bio-based pest management alternatives, reduces environmental risk associated with pest management by encouraging the adoption of more ecologically benign control tactics. So, next is the benefits of integrated pest management is also reduces the potential for air and groundwater contamination. So it is very important to have an IPM to adopt this IPM approach so that we can reduce the potential for risk and groundwater contamination. And then it can protect non-target species through reduce impact of pest management activities because we have this action of identifying pests. So it can reduces the need for pesticides by using several pest management methods. So IPM approach also reduces the need of pesticides by using the pest management methods. So IPM also reduces or eliminate issues related to pesticides and reduces eliminates re-entry interval restrictions, so decreases also worker, tenant, and public exposure to pesticides, and also alleviates public concern about pest and pesticide related practices. So it can also maintains or increases the cost effectiveness of a pest management program. And that would be all about my report about IPM or Integrated Pest Management and the steps of Integrated Pest Management and how the Integrated Pest Management works. So I hope you got an idea or you have a learning about my discussion. So that's all my report, ma'am. Thank you and good morning again. I am Elena C. Barcelo from your Agri-Fishery 2 class, Saturday, 7 a.m. to 10 a.m. God bless you and thank you.